Hello.
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 We missed you.
Yes.
We're back. Yeah, sorry about last week. Both Jamie and I were feeling a bit crap. So massive apologies, but we're back. And we're going to go down the rabbit hole today.
Mm-hmm.
But first, I need to tell you something.
What stories can we bring to you today?
I need to. I was talking to Danielle backstage, catching up on what she's been up to over the past week, and she told me a little story. I look, she's changing colour already.
I am, because this never fails. It's like anytime I have something to say, it's just totally.
So Danielle's like, so did I tell you what happened to my finger? Like, no, you didn't, Danielle. Tell me what happened to your finger. And she says, I was cutting my bush. And I was like, too much information. Like, too much information.
Wait, okay. I have 3.
Oh, no, there was finger condoms involved as well. But tell our fans about your bush, Danielle.
Actually, there's 3 of them.
3 fans or 3 bushes?
3 bushes. There's these 3 boxwood bushes out in front of my house, and they get overgrown really quickly. So I'm trying to keep a straight face here.
Jamie. You really need to keep that under control, Danielle.
Anyway, yes, Kelly, I'm blushing already. Holy crud, I am.
Well, I missed out on making you blush last week, so I've got to do it double this time.
I have these electric hedge trimmers, and just word of warning, people, you must be careful with electric hedge trimmers, because it was a hot day and I was using mine and I had my hand on it and it slipped on me and I went to grab with my other hand, and when I did, it sliced the tips of these last 2 fingers, my pinky and my ring finger. Yes, it hurt very badly.
We're not laughing at the fact that she
we're just
cut her fingers
you need to be very careful when you're trimming your bush.
Yeah. Apparently, especially if you're using electric trimmer. So I go into the house, I let it bleed out, I'm rinsing it underwater. It hurt really bad. I probably should have put peroxide. I know, but I didn't. Instead, I put my hand above my head and I got the tissue, and I had some surgical steri strips. So I'm like, all right. So I'm trying to assess the damage, but there's a lot of blood. So I can tell on the pinky that was worse than the other finger. And there was a little bit of a flap. So I taped it down. And then I remembered
there was a flap on your bush.
Yes. But then I remembered that I had to finish the bushes, right? You can't just leave.
You can't have a half-trimmed bush.
You can't have a half-trimmed bush. I mean, that just doesn't look right. So I remembered that I had these finger condoms, which they call finger cots or finger protectors or whatever. But let's just face it. I mean, guys.
Yeah, she's got
tiny finger condoms, and you can see, So anyway, I put one over it. I went ahead and finished doing the bushes. I have 3 looking very nicely trimmed bushes now. My finger's healing, and life is all good. So. I was concerned about an infection, but I kept an eye on it. I had no fever, nothing, like that. The veins all remain. I did have bruising and things like that, but I survived.
Right, so do not use electric trimmers on your bush, everybody.
Yeah. No.
Dangerous. Be careful when trimming bushes.
Dangerous.
Definitely be more careful.
Yeah, and that was a rabbit hole you didn't expect to go down, wasn't it?
No.
No, not at all. It just never feels. I have something to tell you after backstage, and it just always ends up.
It always comes out so wrong.
It does.
Yeah. So if you've been here before, when we go down the rabbit hole, we've got nothing planned. We just whatever pops into our head, we'll look it up. We'll try and find the answers. If you've got any questions, just bash them in the comments, and we'll look it up.
Yeah.
And Danielle did come up with something that she wanted to talk about. But first of all, I want to know. It's been 50 years, and we've not been back to the moon. Why? Yeah. Now, I did cheat a little bit and looked up this a little bit beforehand because I thought about this afternoon. Apparently, there's 2 answers to this that's given the traditional answers. One is that it was purely political because they were trying to beat Russia, but America's not the only country in the world, so that's bullshit. That didn't wash with me. Whatever, there's other countries in the world. Why is nobody been back to the moon since, I believe it was 1979? maybe.
Yeah.
I thought it was
50 years. But one of the answers is like, what? So one of the answers that you're given is that they don't have the technology to get through the Kuiper Belt.
Yes, even though
now the computer that they had
yeah.
with the original moon landing was the equivalent of a 1980s calculator. That's how good the computer was. It's crap.
Right.
And they managed to make it to the moon in that shuttle with that computer.
Yeah.
So the technology that they've got now, if they can't make it now, how did they make it then? Does that mean that they didn't go at all?
Yeah.
Which is a conspiracy theory. Did they fake the moon landing? Or did they go and get told to piss off and don't come back because it's none of your business?
You've always been told, I've heard the stories that there's as much technology put into that as a wristwatch or the first generation of Game Boy and all this crap. They say the facilities got closed down, you know, with the big computers. Well, they're massive computers that they used to use now.
Yeah.
They just need space.
Theoretically,
in 1970s, 1960s, 1970s.
Think of what we should have by now.
Now.
Yes.
Now, the other thing related to that is,
did they find something and they're secretly doing it without our knowledge?
Possibly, but also like obviously like I think it was China, wasn't it? They were going, we're sending this rover thing. We're going to show you all the photos. They show one photo and then
we're going to show you everything, but they didn't.
No. Well, they never will.
But the whole political argument that no offense, Danielle, in the middle there, no offense. The whole political argument that there's no point now because it was political and America just wanted to beat Russia, so there's no point going back. America's not the only country in the world, contrary to what some Americans believe.
Well, they all do.
Russia's got quite a big economy, quite a big country. China, why have they not been?
Well, they're all supposed to be up on the space station as well, which again, all don't make sense because the two main joint owners, should we say, is Russia and America, and they're always like, oh, what's this country? They're bad, but they're still, you know, dealing with them all the while. So,
well, you know, it goes back to the whole technology thing. I mean, one, you have to, did we go there to begin with? If we did,
I think we did.
If we did, you're talking about the technology that was present at that time. Obviously, by now, our technology is well advanced. Mm-hmm. We have, if you look up on the internet, and there are specific sites you can go to, there's thousands of satellites up in the, right now at one time. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't we be able to go? We've sent satellites way out beyond.
Well, they send all these unmanned things to Mars and everything. Yeah. So if they can get through the bullshit,
and you've got all Musk with all these.
Why is like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos not funding it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and who's to say they aren't? I mean, look, there's a lot that's held back from us. Or then, like Lisa steps into, did we go? And we were warned not to return.
Off the moon. It's not yours. It's
never return. Yeah, which, I mean, that's out there too. I guess, you know, kind of like the world will never know. But I would have to say,
or did they find something and there might not have been life there, but did they find something and they're just keeping it all secret?
Yeah.
They were supposed to. They would they said back then when they were going to the moon that they were going to actually put a base on Mars and have a human society on Mars in the 1980s. Yeah. Didn't do any of that shit, did they?
Well, a couple of years.
Or did they?
A couple of years ago, they did say, "Oh, we're going back to the moon." They done that promotion in that and things like that.
We were supposed to be able to buy. We were supposed to be able to buy passenger tickets on the space shuttle. Yeah. Remember, trips. Yeah. Remember back? I mean, they talked about doing that and being able to go on the space shuttle to and from the moon.
When we say we mean people who can afford it.
It's not like you're not going to get one for like $5.
Oh yeah,
return trip,
$5 return ticket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or a lottery, you win a ticket.
They did or didn't. Anyway, we know.
But there was this plan to like go and create bases and have people actually living permanently on the moon and Mars in the 80s. Yep. And nothing more was heard about it. So did they abandon that completely or did they actually do it?
Well, they've been going on since then. They've discovered like there's possibility of sort of like remnants of water, iced water and things like that. And all these sort of weird things that they keep finding. But we're not going there.
It's just, you know, there's just always this ploy, all the secrecy. It's just,
I don't trust anybody.
No, you can't. You can't.
Well, That's like with the Mars rover. Again, if you believe they've been or not, irrelevant. But when they were doing that rover, they were sending it around, taking pictures, filming it. You know, you could watch it, you know, see the pictures afterwards. And they went near with the face of Mars off. Have you heard that? No, they were driving near there.
Driving.
Ever's driving, yeah, whatever. And people were requesting for them to go travel up a hill
with their new things, like
yeah,
better technology, better cameras, to go and like relook where the face of Mars was.
Yeah, to prove it or disprove it for all. Put it to the end.
Put it to bed.
That was less than 7 miles.
They refused.
And they refused. They said their words were, "We're not doing that. We're not going to waste time and money going to see this ridiculous thing." And they're like, well, the people who's asking are the people who's paid for it.
The people that paid for it are your taxpayers that are asking you to do it. So bloody do it.
I was going to say, who gets to make the decision on whether or not it's a waste of time?
Yeah.
You know,
I think everyone would do. Even the skeptics would like to.
Well, the skeptics would love you to go to say, look, there's nothing there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They're exploring anyway. And why do they always land in the same spots? That's what gets me as well. They never like travel about the place. It's like they were going back to exactly the same spot as we went last.
Are you trying to say
aliens coming to Earth and only ever landing
on the beach,
on Antarctica,
or desert?
And like, oh well, there's no life here, so it's shit. Let's go. You'd have a look around the place, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Seems awfully well planned out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
very convenient.
I'm very suspicious.
Well, and I think we should be.
50 years.
Suspicious.
It's getting ridiculous now.
Yeah. I want to go to the
moon. NASA.
And they should actually do something where public can go, you know, like Danielle was mentioning it, but making it affordable. So then people who do doubt it and disbelieve or not sure or just curious can actually have a chance to, you know, why is it should be just selective?
No, like I said, like a lottery process, right? You know, you win the lottery. Let's take a trip to the moon.
What I want to know is if you could eventually, if what they're saying, they could make housing or home, make moon livable, and all these people who's put plots of land, because you can buy plots of land from the moon online, can't you? Will they be allowed to set up their bases on your plot of land? Will you be able to claim
that? We've got the right to sell your plot of land on the moon.
I don't know, but then we'll end up having to pay taxes up there, and I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole.
There's enough taxes on Earth. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But we actually sells land on the moon. Like, who thinks they own it to sell it?
Exactly.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
And is the moon actually an artificial satellite?
Yeah, well, I believe it probably is, because I don't think
all the craters are the same depth. Almost the same.
I hadn't even thought about that one.
If you look at all the craters on the moon, they're almost all the same depth. Like they're reaching something and not going any further.
And
also,
like a bell,
when they actually went to the moon and they released the thing and it went and hit the moon, it was hollow because it rang like a bell for hours when it hit it. The noise just kept reverberating.
Yeah.
So does that mean that it's hollow and there's like some sort of artificial satellite?
It's
in a perfect position.
That is. That's not no accident.
There's no accident. The position it's in controls all the tides, and it's just like perfect position, and you get perfect eclipses and everything, and just
they're exactly the right size and exactly the
life.
Right
life couldn't exist on Earth without the moon.
Yeah.
Those are tides.
Good point. And Kelly makes a good point there too. The IRS, that's who. Yeah, maybe that's what those 87,000 new agents or whatever that they're employing. They're
well, what about the Space Force?
I can't see anything about my chat stopped moving.
Yeah, so is mine.
I can't see what she said.
No.
Yeah, it's not moving too, but I've got YouTube actually open, so I was able to see.
No.
Oh.
I'm not sure why it stopped here, but
well, we're not being rude.
We're not being rude. We can't. The last thing I see is Kelly saying yes or did they?
Yeah.
So I don't know what you said after that. Danielle will keep me informed.
It's all right, Kelly. I see your comments, girl.
No.
Danielle will keep us informed. Don't panic. And Danielle was showing me this really creepy thing as well.
Yeah. So when we're talking about spheres,
and that's not bushes. This
I want a bush. No, I want a bush.
Oh my God, no. So I don't know if anybody has heard about it, but there is a new attraction in Vegas going on right now.
And it's not Danielle's bush.
It definitely no. This is they're calling it a sphere, but it's also a venue, and it's this huge LED or LCD lit. Like I said, it's a sphere. It's got LED screens all around it. It can be made to look whatever it wants. It's like a giant screen and you can go in it as well. So right now they've debuted it the first weekend of July, like 4th of July weekend. And to give you a glimpse of what it is, I'm going to share this with you.
Creepy.
It's very creepy. It's very creepy. But they claim that they needed to bring more tourists back to the area. Now, Vegas is never hurting for tourism. This cost $2.3 billion. So I'm going to share this with you.
$2.3 billion.
Because they ain't got.
Think of how much little spaceships they could have made and gone to the moon.
They want you to give money to wars that's going on, and here they are making a large TV eyeball, basically.
Yep, here we go. See if I can get this to play for everybody.
That's creepy. That's just, it's like the all-seeing eye. It's creeping me out. Look at it. Look at it!
Since it lit up on July 1. And it could be the entertainment venue of the future. The MSG Sphere at the Venetian is billed as the world's largest video screen. And while the outside is extraordinary, it's what's inside that could change the live music and film experience as we know it. The bowl-shaped theatre contains the world's highest resolution wraparound LED screen that will blow the IMAX theatre experience out of the water. A fully immersive venue, haptic seats can vibrate to mimic whatever is on screen, including an earthquake, while 4D machines can create wind, temperature, and even scent effects. There's also next-level audio with more than 160,000 speakers. The venue will be opened by U2 in September with a series of concerts built around the band's landmark 1991 album, Achtung Baby.
So
that's where we have that. Now, this thing, they're also saying...
We're not on a line. Wait a minute. Here we go.
They're also saying, so this is going to obviously have it holds like over 18,000 people on the inside, but it's going to have all these atmospheric things. And they're even going to they can put scents in the air to make it more realistic.
Well,
okay. Mm-hmm. So on top of this, London is talking about having one built out there. So this is made by MSG, which they're saying is Madison Square Garden. But the Londoners have been informed, and I guess maybe not all of you because you guys weren't aware of this, but on the Big Ben size venue with 36 million LED lights, this type of sphere was approved by a London planning committee.
Yeah. Well,
so they're planning on doing it over in London.
How much was it?
Well, in American dollars, it was 2.6 billion, and I believe that was like 2.3 billion, and I think that converted to like 1.6 billion in the pound.
So we've got people all over the country that are living in poverty. They're struggling to pay their rents. They're struggling to feed themselves, and they're going to spend 1.6 billion on a telly.
Yeah.
Really?
But it's obviously it's more than a telly. So here's my concern, and probably a concern of others. They're talking about, we have it in Vegas. They're going to talk about building one in London. So are we?
London's not struggling for tourists either. People don't go to London to watch TV. They go to London to look at the palace, to look at Big Ben, to whatever.
But what are they really building these for? And with that particular technology, I mean, are they going to be putting this? Okay, are we going to have one in the Vatican? Are we going to have
a company, isn't it?
In China? I mean, and does this have anything to do with Project Bluebeam? I mean, look at the technology that's being used here.
It's a Chinese company, but they've not got one in China, but they're putting them in like major cities in other countries.
Well, because you mentioned Bluebeam, you've got to think about it. It concerned me straight away when they're thinking about we can recreate natural disasters, so you can actually visualize it here. Are they testing it for a bigger scale?
You know what worries
to put around the actual.
This might sound a bit weird. What worries me is when you think about what happened at the Travis Scott concert because of the frequencies that they played during this concert. It sent people loopy, and they've got this technology here in an inner city or like a really busy place like Vegas or London, where you got all these people crammed in. They've got like sights, sounds. they could play these frequencies in, and it sent people loopy. It sent them loopy.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a controlled atmosphere. Like I said, they can spray, they can,
Yeah, what are they spraying to get sense?
Yeah.
Well,
entertainment is one thing, but
and then you're kicking it off with YouTube. I mean, who really trusts Bono anymore? You know?
No.
I'm just very skeptical.
I think the trouble is it seems like a testing playground rather than.
Yeah, why have they not got one in like Beijing if it's like a Chinese company?
Give it time though. But yes, why start there? Why start in Vegas? I mean, everything has to be premier and everything, but a lot of bloody
money when the countries are all living in poverty at the moment because of inflation and the cost of living, to waste money on bullshit, basically.
I know you've had them screens, the sort of 3D screens where it looked like monsters are coming out of the wall and the shark, you've seen the shark. Again, that's a bit like the Blue Beam where the shark comes out of the water and attacks people and things like that.
And it looks very real. It looks very real. People sitting there actually think they're being jumped at.
Two places that are not struggling for tourism at all.
Right.
Now, if it was like arse end of nowhere, Arkansas, then maybe put them on the map a little bit, get some tourists in. But Vegas is not going to be struggling. London is not going to be struggling.
It just seems very nefarious to me. They can come off like anything. They make it very innocent and very alluring, very attractive in the beginning. And then we find out later there's just always an ulterior.
At least this one does something, like in London when they made the Millennium Dome, didn't they?
Which had the O2 Arena.
They spent millions on it, or billions, or whatever, and it was crap. They didn't even know what to put in it. You know, once they done, what are we going to do with it?
We made a big dome.
Yeah, they had one night of entertainment for the
Millennium, and then it was just like,
it's like, what are we going to do?
Outside of the money that it costs to build these things, they're expecting people are going to have the money to visit these venues and partake of whatever entertainment's being offered.
The initial cost as well. It's going to cost a hell of a lot of money to maintain that, isn't it?
Exactly. Okay, well, we're going to create jobs. People still need to go visit and look at our economy right now. I mean, just all around the world. Just not.
I'm more interested in how I'm going to afford next week's dinners than how I'm going to go to a cinema. Any cinema, not just like one with bells and whistles.
What I was going to ask now, so like over in America in particular, it's common to actually have like organised power outages, isn't it? So to conserve on energy. So how does that justify that? If they're going to have this on, I mean, I'm sure that's quite
it's using a lot of juice.
Yeah.
exactly I don't know, the whole thing of like them being able to spray stuff I mean, we go outside and don't like what we're breathing and what they're spraying from the skies. I don't want to be in this compact sphere and having who knows what they're
synthetic chemical spray.
They can piss off with their smell-o-vision. I'm not coming.
No, I agree, but it'll be interesting to see. They'll have to remember this, you know.
That eyeball is creepy though. Creepy.
It is. And who wants to see that looking down at
I've got a massive eye phobia, and to see that, and just like, no, and it blinks and everything, like, ugh.
It does. It's 365 feet high, okay? So this is what's looking down from you from nearly 2 miles away. Residents can see this thing.
Wow.
This is how big it is.
Yeah, it must feel daunting. Even though it's like a TV screen and it's just a projection of an eye.
Then what people say, and I can't see people like talking, it's annoying me.
Being watched all the time.
Kelly says the sphere is a trip, and there's like and Bob says there's people hungry and struggling, and yet they're spending money.
Yeah.
Kelly agreed with what you said, and Bob, people fall for all this stuff all the time, and there are other motives.
I'm going to refresh because I want my comments back. I'll be back in a minute. I want my comment. I'm missing people. I missed them last week, and now I can't see them.
I opened YouTube on the side, so
I don't know.
Oh, she did leave. Oh, and now I can't hear you. She left. She took your audio with her. Can't hear you, Jamie.
I can't hear you, but
there we go.
Comments back.
Are they back?
Comments back. It's all good. I can see you. Hello.
All right.
And I've moved over here now. Hello.
That's all right.
Was that another side? Because Danielle was in the middle. Because wait a minute. That's what I asked you. Do you prefer us to be dark background, light background, dark background, or should we go girl boy girl?
Probably don't really
girl
care.
Boy girl, or what order would you like us to be in?
I think it looks better with I think it's better with like the white background in the middle. But hey, who am I?
We can never decide. That's why every time you come on, we're all in different places.
We're all over the place.
We like to keep you guys guessing. Right. We can't be like the moon and the craters all be in one place all the time.
Yeah, we've got to vary it. No, it's kind of strange. It's weird.
Yeah. Creepy giant eyeball. Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah, no thanks.
Funny timing as well. It's like
right.
And the crisis that's apparently going on in the world yet.
Has anybody got anything that they'd like us to delve into? Let us know in the comments. In the meantime, I believe Danielle's got a topic.
Well, I was just thinking there's so much going on right now with artificial insemination. Like that's been going on for years, but now we're in a whole different area of this transgender movement. And it's not like people who were struggling to have kids and did in vitro things like that to have kids. Now we're treating babies like products, right?
Yeah.
So you've got transgenders who are like, oh, we want to have a baby. So it's like a made to order thing, right? Going to go have a baby. They donate and use some pig uterus or sheep uterus or whatever and create their version of life. It makes you wonder about the soul, or at least it makes me wonder about the soul, especially in the area of such immoral activity. What constitutes that soul? So we talk about like the breath of life, right? That's usually what it is. But is it possible that these new beings, if you want to call them babies that are like this and being treated like this, are going to be born soulless?
Can you be born soulless if it's the breath of life?
Right. That's what I mean. Like, is it? So you got the breath of life that the Bible talks about and the creation of life. But is it like, what is it? It's that spark, right?
Yeah.
And we know that God, at least I feel pretty certain, God's not going to be condoning certain activities. You got, for instance, in the news, there's these two guys, dads, who want to be a dad. So, like I said, they go to this company, this fertility clinic or whatever, and now in some lab, they're mixing it all up and they're going to have a baby and get to pick the gender. It's made to order stuff.
It's not shopping.
But it feels like that.
They've always said about not going any more forward with cloning, yet isn't this pretty much similar thing? Actually, it's more synthetic than
it's a natural. I mean, there is a place for like your IVF. I mean, as somebody who had major problems with endometriosis, I was offered IVF. I was too ill at the time to take up on that because I mean I couldn't look after myself. I was like housebound for like 7 years. I had like a nightmare. No position to have a child, but there is people that can't struggle, like they really struggle to have a child, and it does give them the opportunity to have a child, but that's taking it too far when you're like selecting, you're like growing a baby in a lab, selecting a gender, maybe taking out certain traits and putting certain traits in. So no,
it's entitlement, and I think that these sort of generations coming up are very entitled and they want exactly the same as marriages, and that was used to be more like a big thing. Now it's just like nothing. It's like, oh, they get married for the weekend and get the clothes and have the wedding and the party and get divorced just straight after. I don't think people's taken some things more.
It's too easy. It's been
like you're thinking about souls. Are they actually born without a soul?
Or the strength of the soul? Like
my question is like everything was created in those 6 days. And then he rested on the 7th day. He's not created anything since. So was there like a finite number of souls created and maybe they've run out?
Well, I don't think that it runs out. I think it's more like an energy.
Or is it like infinite? I don't know.
I think it's more of an energy sort of thing, because when you think about it, human bodies run on basically electric, isn't it? It's like you water and
it's the energy, isn't it? It's a spark of life, the energy.
I think that's what it is. So there's a big pool of that, I should imagine. Like
I think it is, obviously it has to do with energy, But
I've always been of the thought that like everybody is born with a soul, but there is people who either lose their souls or they've got a corrupted soul, and that's who becomes your serial killers and your sexual offenders and your people that are interested in children. They've got no souls. These people have got no souls. They can't do.
the strength of that soul, I don't know.
To go and do what some of these people do, you've got no soul.
Can a soul
Or it's
be
very,
damaged?
very broken.
It's Kelly, Satan has his
Oh my god, the
limitations.
chat's not moving again. I can't see anybody.
Kelly says
That's it. I'm opening YouTube because this is annoying me.
Kelly says genetic alterations breaks the bond of God's name written in our DNA. The flood was all about destroying Satan's altered creations. I do agree with that. And then she also stated Satan has his limitation of creation. They cannot be saved because God did not create them.
There you go.
I mean, these are things that I guess most people maybe they don't even think about, but being, our inquisitive minds.
I mean, what you can imagine as well is with a soul, like when people see ghosts or spirits, is that souls they're seeing?
Is the soul and the
that's not
spirit the
travelled
same?
back?
Is the soul and the spirit the same?
I always thought that they were considered the same. They were just interchangeable, soul, spirit, the breath of life. But this whole new where we are is what really throws me off. This whole science now playing God. Now, granted, we've always done that, but we're at such a level right now and have the technology. And we know that things have been done in secret, but now they're normalizing everything. So now everything's being brought out. And it's like going to go up to a kiosk. Are you going to pay? Okay, I want a blue-eyed blonde baby.
I watched a program, must have been about 10 to 15 years ago now. I think you watched it as well. It was people that were like competing to win this prize, and the prize was that they got to clone their pet and get an exact replica of their dead pet. And I'm like, what? Like,
yeah, they've made
really?
movies based around
like
that.
I haven't like lost pets, and like quite recently we lost Brody. If I could clone Brody, it's not going to be Brody. It's not going to be Brody at all. It's going to look like her, but it's not going to have the same soul.
I think
Because the soul, a lot of people would argue that animals don't have souls. They most certainly do. You can see it in their eyes. They've got souls. You can make something that looks like something, but it's not going to be the same. And then like, if that's like 10 to 15 years ago, they're doing that with pets. Are they going to do that with people that lose children? Because that's just not.
Yeah,
no,
that's a bit weird.
You cannot replace something. You can't do it. It shouldn't
definitely
be
not
trying
ethical. Definitely not ethical or moral.
I've had it. I think you had a dream like that. Where someone's come back and it's not the same person. You think that they recreated, and that'd be so synthetic and weird, even though that as maybe looks like them, acts like them.
I mean, that's me talking about really, like a dog, but like,
yeah.
If you could clone and recreate my parents who are no longer with us, it's going to look like them, but it's not going to be my parents. It never will be, because it's not got the soul, it's not got the memories, it's not got who they are and who they've grown to become over their entire lives. It's not the same. So you shouldn't be messing about with shit like that. Sorry, it's wrong.
It is. And I lost my husband, and I just to think of doing something like that would be, it's like one soul per body. I can't even, that would creep me out.
Unfortunately, you can't replace what you lost.
Right.
But I do believe that you will be with them again someday, but not on this earth. And don't try to do it, because it's wrong. It's wrong, and it's a bit twisted, to be honest. Twisted.
I think scientists are obviously normalising and working on these things, because that's their end goal, in my opinion, is to either disprove God or any religion or any deity, but they also want to become like God. They want to be as good, clever, and that's their ultimate goal. The same with these different realities that we saw there with the eye, what you were showing. If they can create an environment that people will truly believe that they're experiencing what they're experiencing inside, and I think that's their way of saying, look, if we can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah, prove that they're capable of doing
gods
it.
Are not so special. Yeah, that sort of thing.
I mean, I think they're doing dodgy shit. I mean, that was like 1990 something when they cloned that shape.
Yeah.
Dolly.
And even then, like, it's the start, though, isn't it? It's like
that definitely opened up a can of worms. I remember
Stop
that
doing it. It's not. It's not. You're not supposed to mess with that shit. It's none of your business.
No, but we have, as we know, they show us in movies what's happening in real life. on so many different levels.
Yeah.
And what they're showing us in these recreation of pets, and there's a movie called The Island. That's a science fiction movie with Ewan McGregor. And in that one, they create these clones in these little spheres of synthetic amniotic fluid. And they let them hatch, so to speak, or they let them loose. And they're all living below ground, and they're told that the people about it's all contaminated. But the reason that they are who they are is for organ harvesting. So that these rich people that had them made, if anything happens to them, if they have cancer or organ failure or anything like that, they can then take these beings and use them. I mean, granted, that's a really imaginative, but are we that naive to think that that isn't done
I used
on some
to
level?
think, like when we were talking the last time about artificial worlds and creations, I used to think that's not possible. I've said, you know, even though the graphics and things like that and technology is getting so good, but now I can start to see it now. We're now introducing like more other sensors into the mix as well as visual. You could easily be tricked, and you could be living. What's that film with? Is it Jim Carrey?
The one where it's like he's on TV and you didn't know. The Truman Show.
Or something like that, or even Matrix as well, where you're being used for something else. That's a scary thought, isn't it?
Everybody all over. If you said Dolly the sheep to somebody, they'd know. Oh, that's a clone sheep. Do you know what happened to that sheep though?
No, I don't.
Probably health failed. Probably.
I'll tell you what happened to it. They actually bred that sheep, and it had a set of triplets and a set of twins, and they've probably been bred, and it's probably been put out into the whatever. But it died quite young. It suffered from arthritis from the age of 2, and it had an inflammatory lung disease, and it was actually ended up getting euthanized after it had. So there's like serious genetic problems with it because they created it and they've bred it and then had to put it to sleep.
I never remember hearing anything.
It's a horrible question.
They won't tell you that bit, will they?
Here's a tricky question for you, right? Say you had a terrible accident and you lost a limb. And they said we can genetically make a new person, and we're going to remove their leg or limb. Would you say yes or no? They say they ain't got no feelings. They don't know for sure. How would you feel like that? Would you say?
Well, they're going to make a person and cut their leg off and sew it on you.
Yeah, they have to create the person.
I'm like, no.
That'd be so bizarre, wouldn't it?
No,
that goes back to like that.
Bob.
That's like that film that I watched. I can't remember what it's called, where they had a child that had cancer, and they went and had another child just to get bone marrow.
Yeah.
Just to give the other child bone marrow.
I saw a movie. I don't remember what it was, but yes.
That was the only reason this other child existed, was just to provide bone marrow. Now,
well, that sort of thing do happen. There's been stories in the news like that where the parents have really like putting pressure on the other child to give up something of theirs to say, it must be awkward.
I think with that, the actual child, once it was a bit older, that the one that had cancer didn't want, because its sister had spent its entire life in hospital just being like
a host
to give, and they didn't want them to do it anymore. They wanted their sister to have a life, so actually she refused in the end. But
so Bob says there's pigs as well with human blood. How is that?
Really?
I'm not aware of that. Bob says there's pigs.
I need to look this up. I'm looking this up.
There's pigs
you're talking amongst yourselves
with human blood.
I'm sure they keep messing. I think that's sometimes when we see these, what they call cryptids, when they see these half man, half wolf, I think some of them could quite possibly be them pissing about, basically.
I agree with you, Jamie. I've often wondered that myself. I mean, why is it's got to be so mythological with what they're doing and what we know that they're capable of doing? Who's to say
they were doing that sort of thing? We know they were trying to do that sort of thing during World War II and things like that, you know.
And didn't they
test them with animals?
I think one of the first things, they were, I can't remember when it was, but I'm sure we've all seen too, like they were growing a human ear on the back of a mouse.
On the back of a mouse.
Oh yeah, it was disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently they are creating humanized pigs.
Oh my God.
That sounds like a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah.
Just in order to study human illnesses and treatments. Really? Really?
not cause.
Yeah.
Why don't you study the ill humans instead of,
I know all of our audience isn't Christian or whatever like that, but I'm just telling you, God is not going to be mocked. This is stuff they just do not want to be playing with.
Well, they shouldn't, even on
just because you
your
can
religious background.
doesn't mean you should.
Yeah. I think even if you're an atheist.
I mean, have you not watched Jurassic Park? Do not clown a dinosaur because
yeah, Jamie makes a good point. Even if you're an atheist, there's certain just because you because you can doesn't mean
make it right, does it? Morally right, or these are still creatures, living and breathing at the moment, and you're pissing about with them, and the risk to
because where's the line? I mean, it is quite sad when there's like creatures that, even if it's like humanity's fault that they've went extinct, that's sad. But where do you draw the line? Like if you go and manage to clone a thylacine, which is quite a recent extinction, and bring them back, where's the line drawn? Well,
I don't know, because you look at the controversy regarding, let's go back to in vitro fertilization. You go back to the fact about childless couples. Now we have the capability, obviously, of taking an egg and a sperm from the parents or whatever and doing that outside of the womb. But you're talking about, hopefully a married couple or what have you, and it is their product that you're using. But now we're at a stage with all this synthetic, and there's videos out there growing these.
They've got they've got 3 mothers and what?
Yes, or they have, like these huge laboratories, and you almost picture a science fiction movie of these tanks of different embryos and things like that. So where do you draw the line? Okay, so I'm like, a childless couple should be able to have a baby, but now we're in this whole new territory of, like I said, the transgender movement and people thinking they can and should, and even just stockpiling human embryos. I don't know.
It can be soon become a fad, like other things we've seen, where people want things done.
To me, with people that I've got an illness like me, I suffered really badly with endometriosis. You get things like polycystic ovaries, and if you've got a couple that otherwise, because of that health problem, could have had a child, they can have a child. But if you are incapable and have always been incapable of having a child because you were not born that sex to have that child, then that's just the way nature is. You shouldn't.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the animals. I mean,
I'm not there's loads and loads of children up for adoption. Why don't you adopt a child instead of creating something in a lab?
I still feel sorry for the animals because, but there's still some people test for soap powder or things like that on it. Animals. You're like, how many years have we been doing this? I think you've tested it thoroughly now.
I don't understand why people don't want to adopt a child, though.
I mean, that's such a personal issue, but you're right there.
As somebody who couldn't have children, it would have been amazing to have my own child, but that unfortunately wasn't to be. But there is probably millions, I don't know the exact, of children that need a loving home.
Absolutely.
So why are we creating more children in a laboratory when there's all these children that are in
adoption,
foster care, child homes that need a loving home?
Well, I think that goes into deeper and darker.
Take care of what you got first before you go and create more.
I agree, but I think it goes into deeper and darker reasons for that. As far as all these children, we talked about CPS and all of that. So.
We'll remember as well, they don't know what they're getting with this synthetic stuff or from whoever else that they don't know as well, because as we know in the past, some certain person who was up to no good, he wanted to create thousands of himself.
Is that the person that didn't kill himself?
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Yes. So that's floating about somewhere.
There's also some OBGYNs and reproduction specialists that were doing that same thing that he was doing.
Yeah.
And it's documented.
People should be struck off.
Do what?
They should be struck off and not allowed to practice medicine.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's not ethical. It's not right. It's not moral. Stop it.
No, but I think about too, like you said,
it's like these people, when you go back to what you've mentioned, the transgender movement. If you've got a doctor that's willing to do quite extreme procedure on a child.
Yeah.
On a child, without doing all the psychological evaluations and waiting to see if that child actually does think that, or if it's just copying all their friends. Because I mean, oh my God, it's just so rampant right now. Because this is a life-altering thing. It can mess up with your bone density. It's going to mess up with your ability to reproduce in the future. You got to be. You don't do that to a 12-year-old child. A 12-year-old child is not capable of making that decision.
No, absolutely.
And there are so many doctors that are like pumping all these drugs and doing surgeries on these young children. That is so morally, ethically wrong.
But making it sound like they're doing it for that child, or for, like for the
children have fads. They go through things. I mean, like when I was a kid, there was girls that were tomboys. It doesn't mean that they wanted to be a boy. They just preferred climbing trees to play with Barbie dolls. That's what happened.
That would have been me. So I had this conversation with my parents. I'm like, that would have been me. I mean, they would have like transitioned me a long time ago. I was a huge tomboy. I mean, I still am in a lot of ways, but just be, you got to go through stuff. Let the child go through puberty. Let it just evolve. Okay. Listen, this whole, we're imperfect, right? It's a sinful world. We've got that down. We're definitely sinful, but all these things are products of that, right? You got cancer, you've got illnesses, you've got disease, you've got psycho people out there, these serial killers, things like that. We're just all flawed. Mm-hmm. Trying to make it perfect, it just
no. You just raised another point there with these sort of illnesses, terminal illness, but they're supposed to be curing and things like that, or trying to cure. Maybe that's because they're not, working hard enough on it, because they're spending too much time pissing about with other crap what shouldn't be done.
Yeah.
If they spent more time and energy and money on research for curing cancer, for instance.
Well, who out there thinks that they already have a cure for cancer?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's enough. Yeah, so do I. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but
let's normalize that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's normalize that and get that out there. But no, you raise a good point, Jamie, for sure. I see where you're headed with that. Yeah, and then like I thought Lisa's point was very interesting too about the creation of souls and the finite number. Like God knows how many people are going to be created.
Well, like everything was in them 6 days. Did he know in advance? Like, there's going to the maximum amount of humans I want is 10 billion. So there's.
And is there like this holding tank of? So I want to show this little clip from this Shirley Temple movie called Bluebird, but I'm afraid it'll get us kicked off of, for copyright. But it's such an interesting, neat little twist on it. But it's like these souls are all up in heaven, right, waiting to be dispersed and sent down. And they're
like the reincarnation thing as well, doesn't it? If there's like a finite number.
Yes and no.
Yeah, well.
Yes and no.
Do you believe in reincarnation, Danielle?
Wow. So at the heart, no. But I'll be honest that I have questioned at times.
Yeah, well,
but
there's some stories. It's like, wow.
Yeah,
wow. Like little kids that know things about another person's life.
There's some people who say like they get this little child, and his parents have got a religious background or whatever, or a certain point of view, and that's coming out from him because he's like, and he's saying the terrorist said, well, I saw Jesus, he had a beard, and you think, well, you don't know, you didn't mention, but then you mention things what are just generalization, you're not mentioning nothing unique. And then there was that Indian girl who said that she was born and she was murdered by her ex-husband or whatever.
She knew everything about this person's life.
She even she knew where they lived, visited them, and she even convinced them. She didn't know them from anybody.
Knew things that.
Okay, so let's just say, like in general, like reincarnation isn't a thing. Does God then allow, or the Creator, whoever you call him, allow certain souls to, not all, but certain souls to come back?
Well, I've got an answer to that, Danielle. That may not be one soul, because if we're talking about energy, their memory might be
part of the energy.
In that energy. So that's why you get some people go, I used to be Nikola Tesla. And you'll get another person say, I'd be Nikola Tesla. One of them or both of them may not be lying. that might be some memory stored in that energy, just
Yeah,
like we
because
get
you've got-
memory in
Because
phones
you've got
and
like
computers.
soulmates, people that are drawn together, and they call
Yeah.
it soulmates.
Yeah.
Because there's like soul groups as well. There's supposed to be like soul groups and people that meet up in every life when you talk about reincarnation. But it could just be like it's just that ball of soul energy creates X amount of people.
Mhm.
Kelly, I am Spartacus.
Spartacus.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a rabbit hole for sure of a question. I don't know if in anyone's lifetime, until it's all over, if we would have an answer to it, but definitely have arguments for that side of it. I totally hear what you're saying, especially when you're talking to these young children, and these children are like, who can barely talk,
Yeah,
have these specific memories. It's like,
Memories.
why?
it's weird.
Why and how? And who's influencing that?
See, I always thought as well that was some of the sort of questions will go through my mind, is the fact that you get these things about ghosts. So I saw, you know, my relative here, or this person's reincarnated as your relative, you know, they were your blah, blah, blah. And yet at the same time, you're under the impression that they're gone to heaven or wherever, or a different realm or a different place, whatever your belief is. And again, that would explain that. That's why they can be at two different places at the same time. If they can be your child reincarnated or somebody else's child, but they could be also there. I mean, that's really weird, and it could actually work that way if it's to do with energy.
It is. It's not. I had a near-death experience, and I wasn't there in my body. I was just
Yeah,
there.
I think
had,
that's so fascinating.
I had like a 360 degree. I could see everything around me, but I didn't have a form. I was just. I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah.
But you didn't like. Is that your soul, your spirit? I don't know.
You're like you were what, kind of like in a limbo of being able to see what was going on around you.
Like, to call it light, it was like, it's not even like any light. I couldn't even describe it.
But it was vivid to you. It was very vivid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the question then. So, like with drugs, like obviously they alter your mind and brain and things like that. So it could be just a chemical reaction. But obviously, again, how bodies are made with chemicals and things like that, electric chemicals and things like that. Could they be seeing other realms? Could they actually be seeing other spirits? Could they be going visiting heaven, hell, in between, purgatory, or different things like that? Because
I often think that this is purgatory on earth.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's a particular drug, if you've heard of it, DMT.
Yeah,
I've
And
heard of it.
people
ayahuasca.
recall that. That's a bit like as a synthetic like ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is more deeper than that. But DMT, it's only like lasts for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But that feels like a lifetime to these people, and their recollection is exactly the same. They see the same.
They take it, and they all have exactly the same experience. They'll talk to the same people.
Yeah.
What? Okay, we need to do it. We need to do a
They
show
live
on
an
that.
entire lifetime during this DMT.
Yeah, we'll have to do a show because it's very fascinating. And these people are really hyper about it.
Yeah.
Some people are really sad because they come
So
away.
they go into this, like, they take it and they go into this thing for like 5 to 10 minutes, but they live an entire lifetime within that 5 to 10 minutes. And when every single person, like, for all over the world, they go to take this to get, even with the same with ayahuasca, when they come out of it, they describe the exact same thing, the exact same entities.
It's life changing for many as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to do a show on that one. That
is really
very interesting.
Same entity, same people they see, same things get said in many cases, different shapes. They say we see things what you'd never imagine.
Yeah, you've got like a vision that like.
Yeah.
Well, that just opens up a whole can of worms in itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're talking about a whole dimension. You're also talking about opening up some portals or realms to some evilness and things like that. Too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, there's so much we don't know.
Yeah.
So much we don't know. And in fact, they say we use like 10% of our brain. That's a pure guess.
Yeah.
They really don't know what percentage of our brain we're using in our capabilities.
Yeah.
And
I think I know some people that certainly aren't using 10%. They're not even using one.
And Bob, getting back to Bob brings up a very good comment. People that have had organ donations and they have like memories, or they have they'll start craving certain things that the donor had.
Yeah,
like tissue. I don't know if they would be like tissue memory. I don't know, but I've heard of that. That's a very real thing.
Yeah.
Could it be in the blood? Could it be in again, is the energy in there? Is it water? Is it
like
could be anything.
residual energy that's left?
Yeah.
It's strange.
What is that? Surgeons are having things drawn on the theater floor because so many people have had out-of-body experience.
So they can.
Like,
I've seen
if
a
they could
program
say,
on that.
"Oh, I saw this," then you did. You were.
Yeah, and they have actually done that, and I believe that they actually weighed people as well before, and, people have actually gone later.
They've weighed people before and
bodies
after death.
left the cell, so there's a weight to apparently.
So I have heard of that, but I thought you were going to go with actually seeing the spirit leave the body or something like that.
No, they've actually, like, people that are obviously terminally ill, they've weighed them before and after death, and there's something missing.
There is one. I did see one. I think it was a footage of a car accident, and that was. I know that you get a lot of fakes, but this was like quite a way back before technology could do that well of the job. And that did look like a spirit leaving the body, and that was really creepy. You know, it was kind of really weird. But the trouble is you can't believe anything that you watch, can you? Because as we're talking about with this TV thing, they can recreate, and people.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes back
to visually see, but having been with somebody at the moment that they've passed away, you can feel it. You can feel that there's something gone, not just the fact that, like, it's not a visual thing; it's just a feeling.
That presence is
you
gone.
know, just before it happens, you know that it's time.
Well, some people even know without knowing if they're not even present. Some people will feel it, won't they?
Well, they talk about that with twins and things like that too, don't they? Being able to feel when the other one hurts or when the other one something happened and harmful, the other one passes and things like that.
You've seen like twins that have been separated at birth and going on to live like identical lives on other ends of the world.
Even called their dogs the same name.
Married the woman with the same name, called their children the same name, and then they meet up and like, what?
There's that really bizarre story in there similar to that where one of them this man catches a child falling out of a window.
Yeah, he was walking past and a child fell off a balcony and he caught it and saved this child's life.
Well, because he knew it was going to be there?
No, I'm not. And like, I can't remember what country, but I'll just make it up for now. Just say he's in New York and he's walking and a child falls off a balcony and he catches this child, toddler, and saves its life.
All right.
Now, if this happened in New York, it wasn't New York, but then like go to like 30 years later and we're on the other side of we'll go to the other side of America. We're in California now. And it happens again. Somebody's walking along the street and they catch a child that falls off a balcony. Well, the person that caught the child falling off the balcony in California is the child that fell 30 years ago in New York.
Oh, get out.
And they've caught the grandchild of the person that caught them.
Get out. No way.
No, that happened.
No.
That happened.
Apparently
No. That's crazy.
That is really weird.
So that baby that got saved ended up saving the grandchild of the person that saved them in exactly the same way.
There's also
but not in the same city.
There's also a famous. I think there is a famous story similar to that. I think it was to do with some kind of president or politics and that. Basically, this bloke was in politics and somebody nearly got shot, and they protected him and guarded him from dying. But unfortunately, that child grew up and then shot his child. And it's like, whoa, what? So he committed a similar crime that he prevented to his own child. And it was like, how can that?
I don't know, but that would be like a major guilt trip, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Really bizarre.
That would,
Yeah.
Really weird.
It's full circle, though. I mean, it's just, again, with the technology, we talk about going to the moon. We talk about this sphere with all these lights and the ability with this CGI and things like that and Project Bluebeam. And we talk about recreating human beings and donors and things like that. Again, there's so much science out there that's being hidden from us, but we know that a lot of it's taking place. Just tell us. I want to know the answers. Unclassify it all. I want to see it all.
Perhaps the maybe the Mandela effect was part of a test or a changeover from the real to the synthetic, or perhaps we're all in a big eye dome already.
I would think that
maybe the world did end in 2012.
I'm sure. So I'm assuming the people, maybe I shouldn't assume, but the people that are watching us know what the Mandela effect is. But that is a whole feature of it's, that's craziness right there. We all remember things a certain way and it's no longer that way.
Yeah.
What's up with that? And yeah, the collider CERN, there's something to that. I don't care what anybody says. People can say, oh no, it's nothing. It's just,
you need to stop messing with shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's got to have an impact on the planet, if anything.
It's selfish as well. Like, we're just going to piss about and play with this and try and create the Big Bang. And
but really, we know where these energy
for the whole planet, that they can actually do something that's going to be so destructive or so life changing to everybody. It's so selfish to make that decision.
Well, Jamie says, like, we're beings with this energy, and this energy changes. It goes from one form to another, or what have you, when we're gone. But because of that, things affect our energy here on Earth. People talk about vibes, or they talk about that
frequency
the tower with the energy with the number 5 that can be switched on, and our electronics in our home, and these electromagnetic fields and things like that.
But you need these.
Yeah. You do. I have one next to my. Oh, I do have a medallion that I.
Two.
That's
just to protect both sides.
Yeah, just don't buy them off a corner somewhere. Make sure they're legit.
Yeah, you got to have properly ones.
Yeah.
Well, we had some other ones that didn't work, didn't we? But yeah.
Balls of steel. That's what they are.
Yeah.
You're not going to explain to people who may not know. What
they know. If they're watching this, they know.
Is that one organite? Is that?
Organite. It's organite.
Yeah. I have a medallion, and I have one next to.
I've got a pyramid somewhere as well, but I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I have a pendant, but I always forget to put it on.
There is a pendant somewhere as well.
I've
actually,
got one,
yeah. Organite,
and
it's to get some organite.
It's supposed to interrupt that flow, that magnetic field, or whatever, those waves that are getting to our bodies.
Well, here's a quick question then. So you're talking about energies, you're talking about our energies, negative energies in the air, what are being created, what are natural and created. So homing in on the sort of energies that exist and the germs and things like that, what exists on this earth and different sort of issues. If we were created to be on this earth, and this earth was created for us, why do we have so many problems with the environment of coping? A lot of people have allergies, for instance.
Yeah.
There's certain things that we can't do, or we can do, or we need something to be able to do something.
Well, maybe we were created on Mars, Jamie, and we had to move.
Maybe again, it could be other entities fiddling about. It could be scientists.
Because people are pissing about with things that they shouldn't be pissing about with.
We might have been fine.
And creating things that they shouldn't be creating.
And we've been injected with a lot of things that have influenced those changes.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you look at like one of the most recent things that happened that put humanity at risk, which I'm not going to say out loud what it was, but you know what I'm talking about. That was let out on purpose, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's some market.
In another country,
and
we're over there.
Yeah,
that wasn't natural. It didn't happen naturally.
So you're saying that the allergies are probably man-made, where they're not made that particularly, but made the environment worse.
Well,
perhaps a few hundred years ago we did leave.
I think if you look at it like.
Does she keep freezing up?
Like the diets that we had, that was all like homemade, home cooked, fresh produce, and now it's so much ready meals bullshit. There's all different shit packed into it, and all of a sudden you've got all these illnesses, like you've got your fibromyalgia, your ME, your MS, your Crohn's, your colitis, your endometriosis, polycystic ovary. These are rampant because of the change in the diet. So we're doing that to ourselves. It's like it's attacking your immune system.
Well,
They're all immunodeficient diseases that are just so rampant right now.
And we're also seeing a rise in cancer over the last couple of years for obvious reasons too. But Kelly brings up a good point too. Our world radically changed at the fall of man. We were supposed to live in paradise. That was the whole point. That was the idea. And so
we're not the same as we were. So that's why everything else you've struggled
you've had constant evil working against it because Satan was put on earth, wasn't he?
And like you were getting back to the preservatives in our food. How was a Twinkie probably could last 20 years? I don't know.
so much crap. Even like the difference as well, like the country to country. I've looked at like the exact same product in the UK to the American version, and the list of ingredients in America is like double the size because the amount of shit, and you don't need it. You don't.
No.
And I've actually tried the American version, and it completely destroys the product. The taste is completely different.
Can I just mention something about the Twinkie? Danielle mentioned Twinkie. Now, I always saw movies when I was a kid, and they were having Twinkies, and they looked lovely. I was like, oh my God, I so want a Twinkie.
I was so disappointed.
So disappointed.
Finally got a Twinkie, and I was like, really? That's shit.
It's junk food. I haven't had one since I was a kid, but I remember like just a pure sugar taste. That's all I remember. Just
it's just like eating a sugar cube. Like what?
Yeah.
Oh, but somebody just sent us something. I forget what it was called now. Something similar. That was actually quite good. But Twinkie was disappointing.
It's a mooncake or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or moon pie.
I think that was it. That was lovely.
Moon pie. The ingredients, though, they are remarkably different. I think the three of us have sat online one time and just like the dyes that are in our foods that they wouldn't even allow over in your country. It's like
that's ridiculous. So if you look at like the exact same product, and the amount of ingredients that you've got in the American version,
it's unnecessary.
Different.
Unnecessary. And Kelly once again brings up a good point. Food, the water, the medications.
Yeah.
Our water. Ugh.
Oh.
Like you can smell like the chlorine in the water sometimes.
Exactly.
When you know.
I'm still shocked that like in America you get adverts on TV for prescription drugs. Like why? What? Like really?
Yeah, that wasn't always that way, but
you need to advertise for. I mean, you only need a prescription drug if you've actually got the ailment that treats the drug. You don't need to have it on the telly.
And they'll tell you it. You spend the whole advertisement telling about what it can do, what it will do, what it's possible, check with a doctor and blah, blah, blah. And then as we know with what's come through the last couple of years with the fancy flu, that you don't get any information on that.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No information on that. Nothing to warn you. So you know what? Stick with the naturals. Naturals you can do. There's naturals you can get it. I mean,
it's vitamins, everybody.
It takes work nowadays. You'd think it would be easier to revert, but no, we are so complacent. We've become so used to the shortcuts and the just pop it in a microwave.
Well, talking about medication, you sound about get used to taking a pill out of a counter. But the trouble is they're forcing you that way as well because they're telling you, don't take that natural remedy. That's unsafe. That's not been tested. That's not been tested by us to say it's safe. Yeah. It's the same bloody stuff, just not with.
Don't take that natural remedy because we're not going to make any money off of it. Take this instead. Take this instead and line our pocket.
Exactly. You're taking exactly the same, but in the natural form as it is before it gets put with other chemicals and formed into a pill shape. And so how can it not be as safe?
Don't take natural quinine. Take this version that's got other shit in it.
Listen, there's actual weeds in your yard as long as you don't fertilize. There's actual weeds that grow up between the cracks that are actually medicinal and effective for helping different ailments and things like that most of us look at and go, oh, me being one of them, pull that weed out of there. It looks ugly, right?
There is one.
I don't know, because the only plant I can successfully grow is a weed.
There is actually one.
I keep them because I've grown something. Like, yay, I've got a plant.
There is actually a weed that you mentioned that grows up near cracks of bricks and that, which actually, I think if you boil it down into a resin, that can act like a morphine, exactly like a morphine.
Yes.
And if you lettuce, I think it's called.
Lettuce.
And you can get the liquid. They call it the resin, the rubbery stuff, and that acts like an ibuprofen. So you got an ibuprofen and
Kelly probably knows.
And morphine.
Yeah,
and they claim us as good, and you can get that everywhere. Even though I took my mum out to go and find some, we went one afternoon. I couldn't find.
Let's go for a stroll, right? Let's go for a stroll and find this weed.
Dandelion's quite good for quite a few things as well.
Yeah.
Dandelion root, yeah. And people, you eat them and things like that. No one of us would ever think about doing that. We were snapping heads off when we were younger, saying little rhymes to them. But get back to the natural, man, just for sure. And that goes for anything. That's like it's like the more man messes with things.
Yeah.
The worse
they don't want you to do it now either. It's like I think Mark mentioned before, like in Australia where they're trying to make it illegal, or they were to try grow your own food. Why aren't you allowed to grow your own food? They say it's a health risk. Well, a load of rubbish. People have been doing it for centuries,
I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
How do you grow your own food and not buy our shit?
And ours, we've took a different approach in the UK. What they've done is we have like these things called allotments. One American described it very well. It said, it's like a little tiny garden. It's like
it's a garden that's not attached to your house. It's like in a plot of land where loads of people have little shared gardens.
You have a little shed, and you just grow potatoes.
You just grow your vegetables in an allotment.
And fruit. Yeah.
If you've not got the room in your garden at home, you go and buy a plot.
Yeah, but what they're doing now, they've made it 300 times more expensive to rent these, because you don't own them.
You rent them.
They're owned by
you rent them?
The council.
They're owned by the council, and you rent a plot.
There used to be any pennies. So it's a little old man sort of thing when they retire, something to do, or now you've got younger sort of single people doing it because sort of. Something to do and
saves them some money. And
they don't make a huge amount of money. They grow some vegetables for themselves, give them to their family. If they've got anything left, they take it to like a fete or something and just sell a couple of bags of potatoes or whatever. And then they made it 300 times more expensive. So they say it was like $20 a month or, $20, tenner a month or $20. It's now
$300 a month.
Like ridiculous. So they're trying to stop you from doing that, and that's hard to get these plots anyway because there aren't many of them.
But, it needs to be known what people are doing. I mean, you go bit planting our own food and like I said,
no problem with that sort of thing. In fact, all right, I remember when I was younger when they didn't put so much chemicals. You used to get a lettuce and you used to see a little creepy crawly on it and
just wash it. Just wash it.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, mind you, it caught me out before when I've had a radish and inside there was like all these maggots and I was like, whoa. Yeah, but
So we went down a little rabbit hole today of different ideas.
We went down a couple of rabbit holes today.
Just think about
Danielle's bush as well. That was amazing.
Well, let me tell you, I will be more careful when trimming bushes from here on out.
Yeah. So you should be.
I think I say I'm going to be more careful and tell you what I've been doing the last.
Yeah, too, because it always comes back to bite me, doesn't it? It's like I got to be careful what I say before the show because Lisa has a tendency to to bring it out.
And she comes on and she's like, "How old is your pussy?" And you're like, "What?"
Okay, that was a while ago.
I've got a very long memory, Danielle.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, not to scare off new viewers, but
and if any of you lot have any ideas for something that you'd like us to cover, whether it be a true crime or a mystery or a history topic, just leave a comment on one of the videos and let us know and we'll have a look.
Yeah, we do have a list of them.
Serious.
Yeah, we have a list. We know, we have things.
If there's anything in particular that you want to know about, let us know.
Yeah, and every once in a while we just like to do shows like today, where we're just not,
just winging it basically, and just see where it goes.
See where it goes. Have a little bit of conversation and your input as well. So thank you as always for following us and watching us. Please don't forget to like and share and subscribe. And
tell all your friends.
Tell all your friends.
And your friends' friends.
And check out our website at thecuriouscasefiles.com.
It's written down there somewhere.
Yep. Down at the bottom of the screen.
Below Jamie.
Yep. Lisa has some products and things in there in the store that she's worked hard on. Pretty cool. I might get me one of those hats. I like the denim hat. I like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I need to get me some stuff as well, but
Yeah.
always something happening and I need to spend money elsewhere.
Yeah. Well,
These are the times we live in.
these are-
Anyway, we will see you next Tuesday, and we mean it this time because I refuse to be ill again for a good while. So we'll see you next Tuesday.
that's right.
Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
Thank you for going down multiple rabbit holes with us, and missed you last week. See you next week. Anybody got anything else to say?
Well, goodbye, and thanks for joining us. Good to
Thank
see
you
you
very
all
much.
again.
Yeah. See you later.
I've not got an outro for this, so I'll play the outro for another show, but I'll have to do.
You guys have a good
Bye-bye,
week. Bye.